Hey there, September 13th, Unitic here. I'm in Bryce Canyon National Park. And there's a magnificent display of aerial spraying today. All these clouds in this direction are virtually artificial. Not virtually, they are. Hopefully you can see up there. That is not a contrail. At a minimum, they are heavy metal nanoparticulates, barium, aluminum, strontium, all toxic, all neurotoxins, all bioaccumulate in the body. They're actually metal salts, but they do drop to the ground eventually, and years and years and years of soil and water samples, especially out here in the west, because it originally was the worst on the west coast, supposedly due to the prevailing wind and weather patterns, find exorbitantly high rates of aluminum, barium, and strontium. And now obviously they're worldwide. That is not water vapor. I rode all day yesterday and the day before, as I do, and either all the planes were grounded or it wasn't a conducive day to spraying, because it was a crystal blue sky with maybe a handful of real legitimate contrails, those that dissipate almost immediately behind the tail of the jet. I took some photographs earlier today, which is easy to do, of these rocket-like trails that go from horizon to horizon, always crisscross and always expand into this milky white haze, usually seeming to accumulate on the sunny side of the sky. Something about photoelectric effect, solar radiation, activates these nanoparticles. Some researchers say they have a piezoelectric effect, and literally the solar radiation energizes these particles. Some say part of their function is a weapons defense system, that with microwave radiation from things like HAARP, which you can look up on the internet if you haven't heard of it, HAARP, can shoot microwave radiation into the ionosphere and bounce it off of these artificial clouds and basically energize them. One potential function. Another could be geoengineering, weather control, using some of the same technology I just mentioned. Weather control is not something new. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of patents on file, many filed in the last 20 years, that list geoengineering as a function. Most of us are familiar with cloud seeding, going all the way back to the 1940s and 50s. And another function could be spraying the populace with something called smart dust. Literally biological nanobots that bioaccumulate as well into the human body, reassemble into organisms within the human body, which is one explanation for something called Morgellons disease. You can look that up too. There's tons of information on the internet. It's real, just as real as Lyme disease. Ooh, here comes a descent. Using very, very advanced genetics, genetic engineering from all the extensive biometric databases that everything about you is recorded in. Systems over the last 25 years have in part been designed to accumulate extensive genetic information on virtually every human being in the Western world, westernized world. The world dominated by the monopoly of allopathic pharmacochemical medicine. So in other words, whatever we see in mainstream media as cutting-edge technology, it's probably at least 50 to 100 years behind what's quote-unquote developed in the black budget, the intelligence community, the off-books research that none of us are ever privy to. But you can bet your bottom dollar those that are addicted to power, control, domination will stop at nothing to have an advantage over the rest of the world. And the national security state, which basically we've existed in, at least going back to post-World War II, with the National Security Act of 1947 that established the CIA, other clandestine operations. It evolved out of the OSS and the Office for Naval Intelligence in World War II. Are well aware of these research programs that have technologies, science, biological research so far advanced that it would boggle us. So the objection about why in the world would they spray this stuff, because they'd be spraying themselves too, is in part explained by that this smart dust is just that it can be targeted very specifically to genetic strains. And I'm convinced, one among thousands, probably millions, that it's targeted genocide. It's another extension of the eugenics program, which goes back well over 100 years, 150 probably actively in the Anglo-American world. Did a video about that earlier called The Truth About Eugenics and Genocide on YouTube, Trek for Truth. But this chemtrail crap, I believe, is definitely all interwoven, probably all of those agendas. It's probably more than one thing, but all I absolutely know for certain is my first 30 years on this planet, none of this shit existed. Anybody 40 years old or older, all you've got to do is observe on a daily basis and let your senses overcome your programming and understand this is not natural in any way, shape, or form. So please tell me which presidential candidate is talking loud and long about this topic, as well as the corrupt nature of the money system, the Federal Reserve, central banking, corporate oligarchy we've lived in for decades. Show me the one that is, and I'll show you the one that's next earmarked for a bullet in the head. That's my truth. I'm riding the Red Canyon Trail right now in Bryce Canyon National Park. They created this so we wouldn't have to share the road as we go down into the canyon. So I'll cut this video off. May not have been what you expected today, but it's a big part of why I'm out here doing this. In fact, it's the biggest part. Is because I'm tired of this shit. I'm tired of being lied to by every institution and hierarchy controlled by a handful of nutcases that literally consider the vast majority of us, in Henry Kissinger's words, as useless eaters, and are parasites sucking the life and potential out of humanity. We can do so much better than this when we wake up to our own power, and that's a huge part of the Trek for Truth. So for now, I'll cut it off. Next video will be more of a scenic nature. Unitic out.